Hey friends, it's Rosalind. Welcome back to our gardens and our tiny farm. It is just past the middle of April. I think today's April 18th. And we've had such a cold spring that things just haven't really started blooming yet. But according to the forecast, we are warming up next week and that should really bring things to life. Now we do have some daffodils though that are in bloom and they're so beautiful. I wanted to just take you through the gardens and show the daffodils that are in bloom while they're at their peak and in their prime because they're so pretty. In case you're new to my gardens, over here where you see all that brown soil, that is where we grow annual cut flowers as well as our vegetables. And then all along the borders of this garden, we do grow perennial cut flowers. I grow a lot of cut flowers to make bouquets with, as well as I make bouquets for just people around our community. And back here where you see that plastic, I grow sunflowers in there, but this year I think I'm going to grow sunflowers, cosmos, and amaranth in there. So that'll be a fun little change. Now we have our first daffodil. And this is a replete daffodil. I absolutely love the double blooms and like that orange center. Under the limelight hydrangea, it is surrounded, completely encircled with muscari. I love that bicolored muscari. Our garden is also kind of torn up right now. We have so many projects going on. We're kind of retooling this walkway. We used to just have like a plastic border, but we are putting in brick. So that'll be very nice once it's done. I think we'll kind of just walk around this way, go out into the orchard, and then come back through here. The crabapple tree, in about another week or so, it will hopefully be blooming. Back here is the tulip bed that we have for cut flower growth. This is topsy-turvy blend daffodils. It's from Color Blends, but it has some daffodils are like kind of a peach color, and then there's also yellow daffodils. It's so pretty. Back here in this raised bed, actually I'm going to take you back there. It's kind of looking tattered. I need to get some mulch in here. But this bed is filled with ranunculus, and then at this end there is some anemones, and we have our first bloom. Now the first blooms are very short. I think this one is like 3 inches tall, but it's so exciting to see some blooms. Now there is quite a lot of tulips and daffodils dotted along the borders that are all budded up, ready to burst into blooms as soon as we get some warmer temperatures. A few years ago, my sister gave me these bulbs. I'm not sure what they are, so if you know, I would love to hear about it. They kind of look like hyacinths, but they don't have like a full bloom like hyacinths do. Back here, right here, and over here, earlier this week, I had shared a shorts video on how to make sweet pea trellises. And it's just like a little teepee trellis. And then I have the sweet peas planted around it. Simple to make, and it's very effective. We have another topsy-turvy blend of the daffodils. Back here in this raised bed, I do have my frost cloth back there and some bricks around it to hold the frost cloth down because we have still been getting some very cold temperatures. But you can see the lettuce and the ranunculus are growing quite nicely in there. And some more of the replete daffodils right in here. And this is what I call my daffodil bed. It is filled with just a variety of daffodils. I had bought like a big bag of daffodil blend, and it blooms like usually starting end of March right into the end of April or early May. But it just has the prettiest mix of daffodils in here. Along this border, I just have a repeat of the replete daffodils. Then there's more topsy-turvy, more of the replete daffodils. But in another 2 weeks or so, it should, like this border will be completely filled with color. And right in here, it doesn't look nice, but it will this summer. I have to give you a closer peek at this topsy-turvy blend. I feel like these have brighter colors than the other blend that I had showed to you, but oh, don't they just look so pretty? Okay, let's head out into the orchard because there is some daffodils blooming in the orchard as well. We started planting the orchard just last fall, so it's still a very, very young orchard. We started adding in some supports to grow grapes on, and this is the daffodils that I had planted in here. Last fall, I just picked up like a pack of 45 think there's 45 bulbs in a package of trumpet daffodils. And these were supposed to be blooming like end of March. But since our spring has just been so cold, it's just now that they've started blooming. I did plant a whole bunch of crocus and dwarf iris in here as well. If you swing over here, this used to be my crocus lawn, but we're going to be adding a raised bed garden in there. So I think I'm just going to turn the orchard into my crocus lawn, my early blooming daffodil lawn. But those daffodils are just so cheerful. Like I said, we have a whole bunch of projects going on. I think it was 2 weeks ago that we decided to add in a raised bed garden back here where I used to have my crocus lawn. And it's going to be a much better use of this space. So we have built a couple of raised beds, but we're going to be adding quite a bit more in here. I have my honeysuckle planted here, and then around the chicken coop is where I am turning it into an herb garden for the hens, as well as to use in our dishes. I'm still figuring out a design for this space, but I'm thinking this will be a pathway with hopefully a trellis. And back here is alliums. It looks like weeds, but there's actually summer blooming alliums in here. Behind the bench is another place that looks like it's weeds, but I promise this is all flowers growing. Right now we have some muscari in bloom. There is some blue squill, and then the rest of this will be alliums as well. And then there's tulips on each side of the bench. I think we might be able to see some of the daffodils that are in bloom if we walk on the back side of the border. There is a whole bunch of perennials coming up in here, and this daffodil I am super excited about. It will be the first year that I have it in the garden. It's called Gay Kaibo, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this is art design. Everybody needs this daffodil in their garden. You can see that it has these buttery colored full blooms. Actually, you might be able to see it better over here. Isn't that so pretty? Pansies in the window boxes are looking so sweet, even though they have gone through some very cold temperatures. Like it's dipped down into the 20s at night, and they're just still looking so good. Over here is some more of the art design. I think the only negative thing about art design daffodils is their blooms are so heavy that they do topple over very easily in the wind. Now we're just going to ignore the pathway because that will look pretty this summer. There's also a few other things that have started blooming in this border. This is a fritillary. Look at those beautiful orange blooms. It's not fully in bloom yet. It's so pretty. And this is Kedron daffodil, I believe is what you call it. It looks more like a traditional daffodil, but it has like an orange center. It's so pretty and cheerful. All right, let's head up to the patio garden because there's not a whole lot in bloom up there, but there's still a few pretty things up. There's a lot of things budded up in here, but still not blooming. One of them is the rhododendron. Do you see those bright pink buds? And then it gets this beautiful pink flowers. I'm guessing by next week it'll be in bloom. And then I do have white lion daffodils dotted throughout this garden. Still not in bloom. The muscari, this is another multicolored muscari. Primrose in the background. On each side of this pathway, I have candy tuft. And it's an evergreen here. Like it stays green all winter long, but then in spring it gets these beautiful white flowers and it's just ready to bloom. And as we head this direction, there's some more of the white lion daffodils all budded up, ready to bloom. And the patio looks, it's kind of full right now with the spring bulbs that I had been forcing indoors. Those are all in bloom and just looking so pretty right now. I have to show you the dreamer tulips. I think this one is my favorite. And on this side, I have all of the winter sown seeds. I had planted some of the sweet peas out into the garden already, but I just need to show you some of this because it's so exciting. Look at the chamomile. A few weeks ago, I found this poppy that I really wanted to have in the garden, but I was afraid it's too late in the season to be planting poppies. It's called Thai Silk Champagne Poppy, but I saw that we're having quite some cold temperatures, so I would experiment. Look at that. we have some sprouts coming up. I have a whole bunch of bare root roses that I found at the garden center earlier this spring, and I just potted them up until I can plant them out in the garden. There's 2 climbing roses, and then there's 2 of them that are going out into the new garden. Between the patio and the deck, I have this little strip of flower bed. There is some daffodils and muscari planted in there that aren't in bloom yet. Last week I had shown you the hellebores that are in bloom. There is some daffodils that will hopefully be blooming soon. This one is budded up, getting ready to bloom. Okay, let's go out to the new garden. There's nothing really in bloom out there yet, but there is some fun things that have started sprouting, and I don't know, that garden is just as exciting because this year we really get to develop it. First, before we head out to the new garden, so these 2 planters we had planted up last week together. And so earlier this week, I went to Menards and I found these terracotta planters, and they are tall for only $20 a piece. Picked up some grapes to add into the orchard, and then I found this rose, Princess Charlene. It is so pretty. And this will go out into the new garden. And if we head around this corner, this is my little pile of plants from Great Garden Plants. They still need to get into the garden. But this little corner is such a happy spot. We had planted this up together last week, but look at this. This is the Taiwan tulips that I had been forcing indoors. Look at those gorgeous blooms out here in the new garden. This was a challenging space last summer because we fought weeds so much, but we took care of that. Now I don't have a whole lot of bulbs in here just yet because we're still trying to get perennials and shrubs in here, but there is a few. There's some tulips and daffodils that you can see all budded up. There's some peonies back here. There's iris. And over here is just a repeat, the very same thing. This summer we will get to do the fun part together, and that is planting and designing this garden, which in my opinion is the best part of starting a new garden. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed just walking through the garden and chatting together. Thank you for being here. I appreciate all of you. Have an amazing week, and I will see you right back here next Saturday. Bye.